Hey, let's shoot another video from my phone. Why not? So with the recent event, with the grass event, where you can catch a bunch of Tangela, the Valentine's Day event, where you could catch a lot of Porygon, although I didn't see one, but he was out there. This brings up a good point, and I feel like I need to cover it. Gen 4. What Pokemon should you be catching to prepare for Gen 4? Because they are a ton of Pokemon, both from Gen 1 and Gen 2, that you need to be saving candies for in hopes of a good moveset and good IVs. So let's go over which Gen 4 Pokemon you should be saving up candies for so you can get them as soon as Gen 4 drops. Perhaps one of the most useless Gen 2 Pokemon to catch in the wild, or the absolute useless one right now, is Murkrow. Murkrow actually does have an evolution, in Gen 4, and that's Honchkrow. Honchkrow, with a CP in the high 2500s, is not bad, has a terrible defense, but is a little tanky with a 200 stamina and a really high attack, so it's kind of like a glass cannon. You throw that in a gym, someone might take it down, but with that damage that Honchkrow does while they're trying to take it down, definitely is worthwhile. So make sure you save up your Murkrow candy. Well, got that done. I have to get a rock star. I'm out of pre-workout, and I want to hit legs a day. Also, I failed to mention that it'll probably take about 50 Murkrow candy to get your Honchkrow, so keep that in mind. Staying on the same topic as useless Pokemon from Gen 2, probably the most useless 10k hatch is Gligar. But Gligar does have an evolution in Gen 4, and it's Gliscor. Gliscor has CP at 2620, which is very reasonable. It's not high, but it's reasonable, and a very high defense at 248. He is going to be extremely tanky in gyms. The stamina is 150, which is okay, but don't be upset if you're hatching all those Gligar. At first I was upset, but now I'm not, because I would not be too upset throwing a Gliscor with a base 248 defense in a gym. I'm a defensive guy. I love defensive stats. So Gliscor is going to be a must. And it definitely has a cool typing too. Hey, let's just keep this Gen 2 useless train rolling, baby. Yanma. Yanma gets an evolution in Gen 4. Yanma is extremely useless right now, but catch all of them you can and hatch as many as you can, because the buff he gets for evolving is huge. Yanmega. Yanmega almost has a 2900 CP, has a 231 attack, and 172 in both other categories. That is crazy well-rounded, and Yanmega is going to make Exeggutor cower in fear. Both bug and flying moves do stab and are both super effective to Exeggutor. So Yanmega is going to be a must for taking down certain types of Pokemon and doing it fast. Being able to deal that much DPS and have that much tankiness involved with it is absolutely nuts. Yanmega, definitely going to be a beast. I forgot to mention, just like I forgot to mention with Honchkrow, it's going to take 50 candy for Gligar to Gliscor, so keep that in mind. And then it's also going to take 50 candy to go from Yanma to Yanmega, so keep that in mind as well. And the last useless Pokemon in Gen 2 for Pokemon Go would be the Togepi or Togetic. Pick your poison, just the Togepi candy as in general. Togetic evolves into Togekiss in Gen 4, and it's ridiculous. Togekiss's stats are insane. Both the attack and defense are like 220 something, and then the stamina is 170? Holy crap, that is ridiculous. And then the CP is almost 3200. Holy smokes. Okay, this is probably going to be the ultimate Dragonite wrecker for sure. We don't have a Fairy Quick move yet. Excuse me. And I hope that changes. I think there's a Kiss Fairy move that could be a possible... and it's not Draining Kiss. Draining Kiss I don't even think is a Fairy move. But there's a Kiss move that could be a Fairy move, and if it's a fast move, couple that with Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam, good night Dragonite. So you definitely, and I absolutely mean definitely, want to save up on your Togepi candies. Togekiss is going to be ridiculously OP, for sure. People can't fight him with Dragonite, so that stops them in their tracks. And it's also going to get good high gym placement with that almost 3,200 CP. So Togekiss a boss, for real. And it'll take probably 100 candy to go from Togetic to Togekiss. Hey, back on the swing. And I'm leaving out one useless Gen 2 Pokemon, and that's Ambipom. Ambipom evolves into Ambipom in Gen 4. Of course, all these Pokemon evolve in Gen 4. I don't know why I keep iterating Gen 4. Anyway, Ambipom, not a very good Pokemon, as you can imagine, because Ambipom isn't. But what is Ambipom going to be, useful for? And that's gym prestiging. So make sure you save up your Ambipom candy, because I personally am always looking for a good Pokemon to help gym prestige. And the lower CP, the lower the CP a Pokemon is, like their max CP, the quicker their stats max out. So Ambipom will be good for prestiging. So just keep that in mind if you are also looking for better Pokemon to use for prestiging. Next up is Misdreavus, who evolves from Misdreavus. Misdreavus evolves into Misdreavus, however you pronounce that. Good grief. The CP for Misdreavus is not bad. It could be higher. The attack and defense stats really good, but that stamina stat's 120. Now you're wondering, why is Misdreavus not useless? Misdreavus is the only ghost type in the game that we have, the only pure ghost type. And Misdreavus changes that because it's Ghost Dark. But is Misdreavus going to be useful? Yes. You will find a use for Misdreavus. I'm not going to go over it now. That'll be a future video. But save up your Misdreavus candy. You will find a use for Misdreavus once Gen 4 drops. And of course, I forget again, 50 candies to go from Misdreavus to Misdreavus. 50 candies. Next up is Sneasel. Sneasel is not completely useless in Gen 2 because Sneasel has a good ice moveset and a good dark moveset. So you could use Sneasel accordingly, basically. But Sneasel evolves into Weevil. Weevil almost has a 2,900 CP. That's big. It's really big. A huge attack, a decent defense, and the stamina is 140. To be honest, anywhere between 130 to 150 is almost average, guys. So don't think that that's really low. There's not very many Pokemon that have an above 150 stamina that have really high CP. So take that with a grain of salt, basically. But Weevil is going to be one of the best dark and ice attackers, if not the best dark and the best ice attacker in the entire game. That's not including legendaries, by the way. I'm not including legendaries. So from Sneasel to Weevil, it's going to be 50 candies. I have a 91 and a 95% IV Sneasel, and I cannot wait to turn them into Weevils. It's going to be awesome as soon as Gen 4 drops. So again, 50 candies, save them up. Save up all those Sneasel candies. I'm telling you, Weevil is going to make it into your team for sure, for many reasons. Dragonite killers, dark moves are super effective to Psychic, so you'll be able to knock out all the Psychic. Executor killer right there, so you're going to want them for sure. And the last, but certainly not least, Gen 2 Pokemon that evolves in Gen 4. Piloswine evolves into Mamoswine. Mamoswine has a huge CP of 3313, a huge attack, a huge stamina stat, and a decent defense stat at 157. It's going to take 100 candies to evolve Piloswine into Mamoswine. Mamoswine is going to be the ultimate Dragonite wrecker along with Togekiss that I mentioned earlier. The typing, though, can be exploited pretty well, but Mamoswine is a little tanky, deals out a huge amount of damage, and is going to get a great gym placement. So catch all the Swinubs you can. Swinub was so abundant in the beginning of the game. I have over 200 candies, and that's from evolving like 8 Piloswines still. Or Piloswines. It's Piloswine, by the way, not Piloswine. There's your fact of the day. So, save up all those Piloswine candies, all those Swinub candies, same difference, because Mamoswine, oh my lord, there's a stampede coming, and I hear it. It's coming next year. Hey, that's what Gen 2. Let's go on to Gen 1, and let's start this one off with a bang. Porygon Z. Porygon Z has a 3093 CP, extremely respectable. A monstrous attack of 264. What? Yeah. And the other stats aren't too bad as well. What makes Porygon Z going to be so versatile? Well, Porygon can learn almost any move. Almost. So, the fact that Porygon Z could have Zap Cannon, Blizzard, Fire Blast, Hydro Pump, it's ridiculous. So, Porygon Z is going to be very versatile. Depending on the moveset you get, will depend on how you're going to use them. So, of course, none of those moves benefit from stab, but they're all moves that deal a massive amount of DPS regardless of stabs. So, and that 264 attack definitely goes with it. So, it doesn't matter if it does stab or not. Now, if you're not aware, Porygon evolves into Porygon Z. So, this will probably take 100 candies to go from Porygon 2 to Porygon Z. But with this evolution, I believe it takes another item. I'm actually 100% positive it takes another item. So it's going to take an item on top of 100 candies. So I could be wrong with this next evolution chain in Gen 4, as you're going to see later that more Pokemon take items to evolve. They might skip the item and just straight up do 100 candies, but we'll see. So at least expect 100 candies. Porygon is extremely elusive, and I have not caught one yet, neither is Kevin. So, when you get a Porygon Z, and if you're one of the first people to do it, you're already that much more OP than everybody else. Magmar. Magmar is not a very good fire attacker right now, but he evolves into Magmortar in Gen 4. And Magmortar with a 3001 CP is extremely respectable. Anything over 3000 extremely respectable. A very high attack, a decent defense, and a decent stamina. This is going to be also like a glass cannon effect. This is going to be one of the best fire attackers in the entire game, and it's going to be get in, wreck, get out. This is going to be one of the best Pokemon to use against grass types for sure, or bug. Any Pokemon that's weak to fire, throw Magmortar out there, good night. You're done. Doesn't matter how strong the other Pokemon is, you're done. Magmortar will wreck you. Now, Magmortar does take an item to evolve. This is similar to Porygon Z. So however Niantic does this, depends. But I will guarantee you this. It will take 100 candies regardless of item to evolve Magmar into Magmortar. I've got a ton of Magmar candy. And I simply just can't wait for Gen 4. Another Pokemon that's not very well at what it's supposed to be doing is Electabuzz. Electabuzz is not a very good electric attacker. Now in the beginning of the game he was, because he has high stats at lower CP, but good thing he gets an evolution Gen 4, and it's Electivire. Electivire, just like Magmortar and Porygon Z, takes an item to evolve. But, just like the others as well, guarantee you it's going to take 100 candies. Electivire is going to be one of the best electric attackers besides legendaries. He's got a higher stamina than Jolteon does, but the defense isn't up there like Jolteon, so they're about going to be the same almost if they were to go head to head. And being almost 3000 CP2 is a really good gym placement. If you can't tell, I'm extremely excited for Gen 4 because so many Pokemon are getting evolutions that they're going to get high gym placements, and the gym diversity is going to be huge. Even with Gen 3 coming out, which I will do a video over Gen 3 really soon, probably next week, so make sure you subscribe. There's just going to be so much more gym diversity, especially with the gym update and stuff. I'm rambling, but you want to make sure you save up your Electabuzz candies, because Electivire is going to be extremely versatile and going to be used to take down Gyarados and everything. So, Electivire, beast. This next one is huge. And why I was upset that I only caught one Tangela in the grass event in the previous video. If you haven't watched the summary of the grass event, link will be down in the description if you want to watch the summary of the grass event, because I go over exactly what I feel about the grass event. Anyway, Tangela evolves into Tangrowth in Gen 4, and Tangrowth, I was looking and I googled it. Tangrowth is the best grass attacker in all of Pokemon. Every single stat is over 200. Are you kidding me? That's base. And then also a CP over 3,000. Oh my gosh. So what does this mean? This is the ultimate Vaporeon destroyer. Completely. Now, it'll take 50 candies to go from Tangela to Tangrowth, but if they do 100, and I highly doubt this, but if they do 100, it's well-deserved. Tangrowth is OP. Now, I know what you're thinking. How is he the best grass attacker? Because he is purely grass. That's it. Venusaur is grass and poison. There's a lot of grass poison, so keep that in mind. Straight grass, Tangrowth. And Tangrowth, to be honest, deals more damage than most of the grass poison types anyway. Look at those stats. Are you kidding me? Tangrowth is going to be in my team for sure. Now, would you want to throw him on a gym as a defender? He'll get high gym placement, but honestly, probably not. Tangrowth is going to be the best attacker to take down gyms. Goodnight Rhydon. Goodnight Golem. Goodnight Vaporeon. Goodnight any water type. Goodnight any rock type. Goodnight any ground type. Seriously. It's going to be ridiculous. So save up those Tangela, and if you don't have a lot of candies, start walking them now or walking them later this year. I'm telling you, Tangrowth, I can't stress it enough, is going to be the most utilized Pokemon in all of Pokemon Go from here on out. One thing I did fail to mention, that Tangrowth, to go from Tangela to Tangrowth, it does take an item. The last 3 Pokemon I mentioned, Magmortar, Electabuzz, and now Tangrowth, all 3 of those, take an item. Man, there's bugs everywhere. So, we don't know, again, how Niantic is going to do that, but okay. Next up, this Pokemon takes an item as well. Rhydon evolves into Rhyperior. Yeah, Rhydon evolves. If Rhydon isn't already OP, he gets even more OP. Now, the stats don't boost up that much. They go up by about 20 each, which isn't too much, because, like, if you compare Yanma to Yanmega, that's just huge, but almost a CP of 4,000. That's ridiculous. So, super high gym placement for Rhyperior. Tangrowth will be his worst nightmare, so the fact that Rhydon gets even more stronger is fine, because there is plenty of counters to take him down. But if you're wondering how many candy you need, 100 again takes an item, but we don't know how that's going to work. Extremely high gym placement, way up there, above some legendaries, actually above a lot of legendaries. So yeah, there's plenty of Rhyhorn candy to go around. Is Rhyperior broken? No. What I just mentioned earlier, Tangrowth. If you get a Tangrowth, good night. Even though Rhyperior's stats are better, still, Tangrowth is going to wreck him. And of course, a Vaporeon will still wreck him too. Get a high CP Vaporeon, try to max him out. Good night. I mean, that's just, excuse me, the way it is. So don't feel discouraged or be like, wow, Rhyperior is just way too OP. Although it may seem like it, there's going to be plenty of counters. The only reason why you want a good Rhyperior is use him against counters, maybe? Like, use him against super effective Dragonite, those rock moves, Wreck Dragonite. So, that's going to be the use of Rhyperior mostly. But the main use, honestly, depending on how the gym rework goes, is going to just be gym placement. I mean, come on. That's high 3,000, it's almost 4 grand. So, just gym placement mostly. And it's a cool Pokemon to have. But again, he can be destroyed quite easily by a handful of Pokemon that are common, other than Tangrowth. I'm going to mention Tangrowth a lot, so get used to it. Oh, we just got 2 more Pokemon in Gen 1 to go. Next up is Lickitung. Lickitung evolves into Lickilicky. And Lickilicky doesn't have a very high CP, it's like 2,300 something. But Lickilicky is very tanky. Defense of like 180, stamina 220, attack is decent. What is going to be Lickilicky's use? And I believe Lickitung the Lickilicky also takes an item, but I could be entirely wrong because my memory is slipping on that one. It's going to take 50 candies to evolve him. Now, Lickitung is actually useful in Gen 1 as a very good gym prestiger. Absolutely, because Lickitung is pretty tanky. Doesn't do a lot of damage, but you can take down some pretty strong, powerful Pokemon with half the CP to prestige. So Lickilicky will be the same way. Also, if you level up your Lickilicky to around 2,000 and place that in a gym, it's very tanky. Again, extremely tanky. Not everybody has a Machamp. Depending on where you live, I hardly see any wild Machop. I've gotten all my Machop candies from hatches. So fighting is still pretty rare. There's not very many fighting types in the game. Even when Gen 3 is announced, there's not. So save up those Lickitung candies. I got quite a few. Lickilicky will be good to throw at the bottom of gyms to make gyms a living nightmare. So, there you go. Lickilicky. And last, but certainly not least, Magneton evolves into Magnezone. Magnezone, over 3,000 CP. Huge attack. Finally, a huge defense. And the stamina is average, 140. This it will be and is going to be my go-to electric attacker. And here's one thing that bothers me. Not very many people use Magneton to counter Gyarados. And that just bothers me. I have a Magneton, 88% IV, not great, could be in the 90s, but I'm powering him up anyway. Has Charge Beam, Zap Cannon. Have you used Zap Cannon against Gyarados? It almost one-hits him. Seriously. I'm talking like a 2,900, 3,000 Gyarados, it almost one-hits him. Yeah. So Magnezone is going to be an absolute monster. It also takes an item to evolve him. So from Magneton to Magnezone, it's going to take 100 candies and an item. You already know what I think about the items. Niantic's probably going to throw them in. They're probably not going to throw them in. Who knows? It's all speculative there. But Magnezone, beast, I'm telling you. I love Magnezone. I actually used them in the handhelds and competitively a little bit. But competitively, it was hit and miss. I loved him as a Pokemon for sure, but I didn't always win with him because it depended on what the other people had, but I'm getting off topic. So, it's going to take 100 candies. For those that, like at airports and stuff, that have so many Magnemite spawns, and you just look over them over and over because you already have 400 candy, get 400 more. Do you realize how good Magnezone's going to be? It's going to be ridiculous. Ugh. Well, guys, that wraps it up. That's all the Pokemon that are in Gen 1 and Gen 2 that evolve in Gen 4. There are a ton of Pokemon that are absolute beasts. That's it with the Pokemon Brothers. Make sure you guys subscribe. Give you guys all the latest updates, tips, tricks, and speculations. I'm excited for Gen 4. It's going to come out later, probably later next year or early next year. Gen 3 should be here summer or towards the end of this year. So I'm going to be going over Gen 3 here within the next week, so make sure you guys subscribe so you guys get that notification, you can see that video. And as always guys, thanks for watching.